Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Well, for today's video, I am going to be taking you into Chicago with me. Now, living in the suburbs of Chicago and actually having worked down in the city many years ago, I have been to Chicago obviously a lot. But today is extra special because I am getting to meet up with a fellow YouTuber friend. Today I am meeting up with Des, and I know a lot of you follow her channel as well, but I will link her channel below just in case that you don't. And Des flew in from London yesterday afternoon, and we have become very good friends via YouTube and also because of a YouTuber women's group that we are both part of. So I am just so excited to be actually able to meet her in person, and I thought you would like to come along and join us. So I hope that that sounds good to you. I am so excited. So come on, let's go to Chicago. It was such a beautiful day in Chicago that I really enjoyed my walk from the train station to the hotel. It was just gorgeous out. And then I finally got to meet Des. We met up and then walked down to Millennium Park. And here we are at the Bean, which is a very unique sculpture where you can actually see most of the city skyline reflected in the Bean. And it's just a very cool place to go. So can you see us here, our reflection? Can you see where we are here? There we are. Then we decided to take the architectural boat tour on the river. And we decided that we wanted to sit up on top because it was such a nice day. We had our sunblock on, so we were prepared. But it was just so interesting going under these bridges too, because you're actually very close on these boats. I mean, I think you can tell from this footage that it almost looks like you could reach up and touch the bridges. So it's just so beautiful, just gliding by all of the skyscrapers and hearing about all of the history of the buildings and then just the history of Chicago itself. And our tour guide had recommended this as one of just like the money shot from Chicago where you could really see so many pretty buildings down the river. And this boat tour in particular went all the way down to Chinatown. So we saw this cute little park that is right near Chinatown. And just beautiful views of the city just from every direction. And like I said, you can see that it was just such a perfect day. There in the distance, you can see the Sears Tower, and then here you can see it when we are up close and trying to get it all into view, but it was hard moving by. But yes, that is an extremely tall building. And yes, I still do call it the Sears Tower, even though the new name is actually called the Willis Tower. And then here we are heading towards Navy Pier and the edge of the lake. And then when they turned the boat around to head back, it was just such a beautiful view of the whole city skyline that I hope you can enjoy it as much as we did because it really is just such a beautiful city. So that was the boat tour, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing a little bit of that footage. Well, good morning, friends. It is the next day of my trip to Chicago, and I was actually just able to have breakfast with my son who lives here in the city before he had to go to work. So that was very nice that I got to spend a little bit of time with him. I always love being able to spend time with my kids, so it was nice that I was able to have breakfast with him this morning. And then I'm obviously back in the room and we'll be meeting up with Des soon. But we have just been having the best time here. And I could not have been happier because yesterday the weather here in Chicago was absolutely perfect. It was just the most beautiful summer day. It was not humid. The sun was out. There was not a cloud in the sky. It was just perfect summer weather. So I was so happy that with Des being here, she could see the city on such a beautiful summer day. And we just had so much fun. We got to go on the architectural boat tour, which I will either put up footage now or you have seen footage, but it was so fun. And I had actually never done that before. I have always wanted to do it. And so Des was up for it and we decided to do it, and it was so much fun. You really learn a lot about the city and the buildings, and it's just scenic and pretty. So I highly recommend if you're ever visiting Chicago, it's a fun thing to do. So we were able to do the boat tour and we just walked around and we explored and we have just been talking, and it has just been so nice. And then we did have a little break time back at our hotels after the boat tour where we could just kind of relax and rest for a little bit before we got ready to meet for dinner. And we first went to this really pretty restaurant called Cindy's Rooftop, and we had a cocktail there before dinner. And it's this spot where they have this really beautiful patio that overlooks Lake Michigan and some of the city and Millennium Park. And I'd actually been there on my birthday. My son and my husband and I stopped there for a drink before we went to dinner on my birthday back in December, and that was a different experience because obviously it was much colder and there was a lot of Christmas lights all over, but last night it was just absolutely beautiful up there. So we did that, and then we went to dinner. And we had delicious burgers at this restaurant that we went to for dinner, and just leisurely conversation. It was just so nice. And then after dinner, we decided we were going to try a piano bar, and both of us had kind of thought that the piano bar was going to be just more of like older songs, I guess, and just kind of mellow. But those piano bars where people are singing, but it's a more mellow vibe, I guess, is what we were both kind of expecting. And one thing that was kind of funny is that when we walked to this piano bar, there were two men outside the bar and asked to see our IDs to get in. We got carded to get in. And Des I don't know if she was like really aware of what they were doing. And I said, they're being very kind, because it was quite obvious that we're over 21 years old, but they asked for our ID. And when we got into this piano bar, it was not what we had expected. First of all, for a Tuesday night, it was packed with mostly very young people, and so loud. And the young woman that was playing piano and singing, she was really good, because there were people that would just write down songs, requests on pieces of paper and leave it up for her, and she would just open up the paper and then play the song and sing the song. So she was really talented, but it was really loud. And it was all more modern music too. Although there was one, she did like an Amy Winehouse mashup that she knew all the words to everything and was just kind of grooving to that one. It was fun. So it was not what we expected, so we didn't stay there for very long, but we were happy that we just kind of checked it out. And so we left there and then went back to our hotels, and it was late then anyways. Well, late for me anyways. It was like past 11:30. I think I got back to my hotel. Our hotels are literally like, it's a 2-minute walk to each other's hotels. So got back and then, went to bed, and I did not sleep very much. I wanted to wake up at like 7:30 because I knew I was meeting my son for breakfast, but I think I woke up a little before 5 and went to bed much later than I normally go to sleep. I've just kind of been struggling with sleep lately anyways, and it's hard enough for me to get a good night's sleep at home in all my perfect conditions with all my rituals and routines. So when I travel, it makes it even more difficult. So I'm a little bit tired, but still excited because we are going to meet up in just a little bit and head to the Taste of Chicago down in Grant Park. And another thing I've never done after living in this area for 30 years, I've never been to the Taste of Chicago. It's where they have all kinds of food vendors and food trucks from all around the city. And I believe they're kind of like smallish plates so that you can try different things. And it's a big thing every year, and I've never been. So we are going to be walking down there to go to lunch. And then sadly, later this afternoon, I will have to be heading back home, and Des will still be here one more night before she heads out tomorrow. So I will be sad to say goodbye to her because it has just been so nice to be able to be with her in person. I feel like I've known her anyways because of YouTube and then, our Zoom meetings. But it's even nicer just being able to spend that time in person. And Des, I will tell you, she is teeny tiny. She is so little. I know that she had mentioned on her channel before that thinks she's like 5'3". She thinks she shrunk a little bit. And but she's just teeny tiny, and she's just as lovely in person, and I love listening to her accent. And we were, laughing about things that, she's said she's trying not to say the lift and say elevator instead, or she's trying not to say like she waited in queue. We say we wait in line. So she's trying to talk more American, but I just love her accent. I love listening to her talk, and she's so interesting. So we have just been having so much fun. But I hope that I have gotten some footage that you were able to enjoy some of this trip too. And there's a little bit more to come because I will try to film a little bit today on heading down to Grant Park and the Taste of Chicago. So I do hope it gives you a little feel of like you are in Chicago with us too. But I think right now I need to clean up this room, and I have to drop off my suitcase downstairs in the lockup area after I check out while we hang around and do some more walking and sightseeing and such. But I am just having so much fun, and I'm so happy that you're here to join us on this little trip to Chicago. So I guess that is it for now, but I will see you again soon. So we walked from our hotels down to Grant Park, where the Taste of Chicago is held. And apparently they've done away with the admission fee, which is great. We did have to go through a little bag check, but no admission fee. And here you can see some of the food vendors set up along the street. They had so many different choices of food. We decided to go with Mexican, and I got this delicious street corn in a cup and a chicken street taco that were delicious, and we found a nice spot to enjoy those. And then we walked over to the iconic fountain in Grant Park, and it is just so beautiful and it's so large. And then off into the distance, you can also see Lake Michigan, which is just so beautiful. Whenever I am near Lake Michigan, I'm astounded that it is just a lake because it truly looks like an ocean. And here in Grant Park, you do just get beautiful views of the lake and then also the city skyline. And then sadly, I had to say goodbye to Des and head back home. Hi friends, I am back in the suburbs. I just got off of the train and I'm about to head home, but I just had the best time with Des. It was really hard saying goodbye to her, but I know that we're going to see each other again in real life sometime soon. So we put that out in the universe, and it's definitely going to happen. But I hope that you enjoyed coming along on this little trip to Chicago with me. I really appreciate that you take time out of your days to watch my videos, and I will see you all next time. Bye.